Greetings, dear friends. Today for lunch I'm making meatballs with noodles and with lettuce leaves called lalek. Friends, there are so many different kinds of lettuce leaves in stores. I'm using specifically lalek lettuce leaves, but you can use any others, they'll work just as well. And the first thing I'll do is boil the noodles. My water is already boiling. I add half a teaspoon of salt, a little bit of vegetable oil, and then I put in the pasta to cook. These noodles, friends, cook for exactly 6 minutes. Meanwhile, I'll make the meatballs. Friends, my ground meat is already prepared. I didn't show you how I made the ground meat, but here I have two types of meat, beef and chicken. That's why the ground meat is a bit light in color. I'm going to make the meatballs about this size. I think each of you makes meat for meatballs in your own way. You add your favorite spices to the ground meat. I usually add black pepper, salt, coriander, and sometimes ground cumin to the ground meat. You need to shape the meatballs quite well and tightly so that they don't fall apart during cooking. I always knead the ground meat thoroughly, beating it several times against the bottom of the bowl, and then I put it in the refrigerator for half an hour. And only after that do I do anything with it. The ground meat sets very well in the refrigerator so it doesn't stick to your hands and is easy to shape. Meanwhile, the noodles have finished cooking. I drain them in a colander to remove the excess moisture. My frying pan is already heated up. I add a little vegetable oil. In this case, I'm using olive oil. I heat it up well and then add the meatballs. I fry the meatballs until they are nicely browned. The better we brown the meatballs, the tastier they'll be in the finished dish. I won't chop the lettuce leaves finely, I'll cut them into fairly large pieces. I also cut the green onions into fairly large pieces. The meatballs are starting to take on a beautiful golden color. First, I carefully slice the fresh garlic cloves into very thin, delicate pieces. And then I immediately add them into the pan with the meatballs, making sure to fry everything together thoroughly until it is all well combined. The meatballs are fried to the desired doneness, and now I pour in the water in which the noodles were cooked. A couple of ladles is quite enough. Cover with a lid and let it simmer for about 10 to 15 minutes. The pine nuts need to be thoroughly toasted in a dry pan. This will give them a pronounced flavor. The meatballs have finished simmering, and now you can add the herbs, lettuce, and green onions. Everything goes in at the same time, and we mix it all well. Sauté the greens for literally 3 or 4 minutes, no more. And add the noodles directly into the pan. Once again, gently mix everything together. After waiting just a couple more minutes, I finally turn off the heat under the pan. Now, my delicious homemade meatballs served with tender noodles and fresh lalek lettuce leaves are completely ready to eat. Lunch can be served. I garnish the dish with pine nuts. And the final touch, I grate some Parmesan cheese. Basically, you can sprinkle any cheese you have. This is the delicious dish we made together today. Thank you for being with me. See you next time. This was Serge with you. Bye everyone.